Picture this. It is a quiet morning. You are sitting at the edge of your bed, soft light spilling through the window. You slept through the night, or at least the clock says you did. But your body feels like it just ran a marathon. You glance at your partner beside you and feel something slipping away inside. Not because the love is gone, but because your body is no longer responding like it used to. Let me tell you something, and I want you to hear it clearly. This is not about getting old. It is not about losing your manhood. It is your body's way of asking for help. A silent call for 3 essential nutrients that most men over 60 are unknowingly missing. And today, we are going to change that. No medications, no miracle cures, just a simple plan, a few powerful shifts, and one decision to reclaim control of your life. If you are ready, let's begin. The silent shift no one warns you about. There is something I have heard from countless men, veterans, builders, doctors, grandfathers. They say the same thing in different ways. I am slowing down. I do not have the spark. And most of them assume it is just what happens with age. But I am here to tell you, aging is not a sentence. It is just a phase. And with the right tools, you can be strong, energetic, and deeply connected again. The truth is, many of us are missing 3 simple pieces of the puzzle. They are not drugs. They are not prescriptions. They come from the sun, from food, and from knowing what your body really needs. The forgotten sun and the vitamin that holds the key. Let me tell you about a man named Thomas. Strong spirit, sharp mind. But when he came to see me, he said something I will never forget. I still love my wife the way I always have, but my body just cannot follow through anymore. We ran a few tests, and what stood out immediately was how low his vitamin D was. It is more common than you might think. More than a third of men over 60 are deficient and do not even know it. Vitamin D is not just about bones. It is the key that unlocks your circulation, the spark that helps blood flow where you need it most. Without it, your system slows down. Your energy fades, and intimacy becomes harder than it should be. Thomas started walking outside for 15 minutes each morning, added salmon to his meals, and took a vitamin D supplement that worked for his body. A few weeks later, he came back. His eyes were brighter, his shoulders lifted, and the smile he wore was the smile of a man who had come back to life. That is what vitamin D can do when you treat it as more than a vitamin. It is your inner switch for circulation and strength, the energy you forgot you had, and the fire called B12. Have you ever said to yourself, I am eating well, I am sleeping enough, so why am I still so tired? It could be that your body is running on empty, even with a full tank, and that often points to one thing: vitamin B12 deficiency. B12 is your body's spark plug. It turns food into energy. Without it, your brain feels slow, your muscles feel soft, and your motivation fades away. Alan was a man who worked in engineering for most of his life. He was sharp, structured, reliable. But one day, he looked me in the eye and said, I feel like I am fading. He was not sick. He was not depressed. But something was missing. After 60, your stomach becomes less efficient at absorbing B12. Even if you eat meat and eggs every day, you still might not get enough of what you actually need. We switched Alan to a methylated B12, the kind your body can absorb more easily. He took it with breakfast each morning. Just a simple change. And just a few weeks later, he was up and active again. He took his grandson fishing, and he called me to say, Doc, I feel like myself again. That is not magic. That is biology finally working again. Vitamin is the quiet guardian of a man's strength. Now I want you to think about a man who eats well, exercises often, does everything by the book, but still feels off, still feels like something is slipping away. That man was Marcus, a former military guy, strong, steady, disciplined. But when he came to my office, he looked tired in a way that training cannot fix. He said, I do not feel like myself anymore. I am not bouncing back like I used to. The drive is just not there. And what we found was this. His body was inflamed. Testosterone was dropping, and his vitamin E levels were way below where they needed to be. Vitamin E is more than a fertility booster. It is a powerful antioxidant. It protects your blood vessels, supports your testosterone, and keeps your internal systems from breaking down too fast. We added sunflower seeds and almonds to his diet, drizzled a little olive oil on his salad, topped it off with a natural vitamin E supplement. 2 months later, he walked in taller, spoke clearer, and said, I do not just feel good, I feel like a better version of me. Vitamin E is quiet, but it is essential, and when it is missing, you feel it in ways you cannot always explain. When three allies join forces, everything changes. Now here's the real magic. When you bring these three nutrients together, something powerful happens. Vitamin D opens up your circulation. Vitamin B12 sends energy through your body. Vitamin E keeps your blood vessels flexible and supports your hormones. They work together like a team. And when they do, you do not just feel better. You feel alive. I have seen this transformation again and again. Men who thought their best years were gone, suddenly waking up earlier, thinking more clearly, feeling more connected to their wives and to themselves. You do not need a dozen pills. You do not need a complicated routine. You need a steady rhythm and the right tools to support your body the way it needs to be supported now. It is not too late to begin again. We are just getting started because most men who try supplements never feel these changes. And there's a reason why. A common mistake that cancels out all their progress. That is coming up in the next part. But for now, if anything I said today hit home, share this video with a friend. Leave a comment below and let me know what spoke to you most. You are not just a viewer. You are part of a movement, and I am honored to have you here. This journey, your journey, is not over yet, and it is never too late to feel like yourself again. Let's pick up where we left off. By now you've heard how three simple nutrients, vitamin D, vitamin B12, and vitamin E, can make a world of difference in your energy, your confidence, and your connection with the people you love. But here's the truth most men never hear. Even when you know what works, even when you start taking the right vitamins, you still might not feel the change. And it's not your fault. It's because there's one mistake that's more common than you'd think. And if you're over 60, there's a good chance you made it too. Let's break it down. The grocery bag mistake. One morning, a man named Gerald walked into my office. He was thoughtful, well-read, and clearly trying his best to take control of his health. He sat down, pulled out a plastic grocery bag, and placed bottle after bottle of vitamins on the table. "Doc," he said, "I've been taking all of these for months, but I still feel tired. My mind's foggy, and honestly, nothing's improving down there." I could see the disappointment in his face, and I've seen it far too many times. What Gerald didn't know, and what most men never hear, is that vitamins are not created equal, not even close. The kind you take, the quality, the form, and how often you take them, all of it matters. And it could be the difference between real results and nothing at all. Not all vitamins are built the same. Let's start with the basics. When you walk into a big box store or browse online, you'll find shelves full of cheap supplements. Some of them might say they contain what you need, but the truth is, many of them use low-quality ingredients your body can't even use. Take vitamin B12, for example. Most budget supplements use something called cyanocobalamin. It's cheap to produce, but hard for your body to convert into a usable form, especially as you get older. What you really want is methylcobalamin. That's the active version. It's easier to absorb, and it actually does what you need it to do, which is turn food into energy and support your nervous system. Same with vitamin D. Many cheaper brands offer vitamin D2, but your body processes vitamin D3 much more efficiently. If you're low on energy or struggling with circulation, D3 is the one you need. And then there's vitamin E. Most synthetic versions only offer part of what your body needs. The real power of vitamin E comes from the full spectrum, the natural form, with all the tocopherols that support hormone health and blood vessel flexibility. If you've been using the wrong forms, your body might be flushing them out without ever putting them to work. Inconsistency is the silent saboteur. But even if you're using the right form, there's another trap, and it's one I see all the time. You take your vitamins once, maybe twice a week, when you remember. But here's what most people forget. Your body runs on rhythm. It needs consistency, not chaos. If you only take a supplement now and then, it's like putting a single drop of oil in your engine. It's not enough to keep things running smoothly. Your energy, your focus, your circulation, they all rely on daily support. And especially after 60, your body needs even more steady input because it doesn't bounce back the way it used to. You need to build a foundation, not chase a quick fix. When Gerald got it right, after I explained all this to Gerald, He made a few simple changes. He switched from synthetic to active forms. Methylcobalamin instead of cyanocobalamin. Vitamin D3 instead of D2. Natural full-spectrum vitamin E. And most importantly, he committed to taking them every day at the same time, along with real food. 1 month later, he came back with a quiet smile and a clearer mind. He told me, "Doc, I'm sleeping better. I wake up feeling sharper. And I feel like a man again." That shift didn't come from adding more pills. It came from doing it right. This is not about more, it's about smarter. Listen, you don't need a medicine cabinet full of bottles. You don't need to spend hundreds of dollars a month chasing solutions. What you need is a smarter approach. You need the right forms, the right timing, and the consistency that helps your body trust the process again. It's about helping your system remember how to function at its best, not forcing it, not hacking it, but supporting it the way it was meant to be supported. Think of it this way. You've spent a lifetime solving problems, building things, raising families, making decisions under pressure. You already know how to show up for others. Now it's time to show up for yourself. And that doesn't mean overhauling your life. It just means making a few powerful choices every single day. Coming up next to your daily game plan. Now I know what you might be wondering. This all sounds great, but how do I actually make it part of my routine? I'm busy. I don't want a complicated regimen. I just want to know what to do and when to do it. That's exactly what we're going to cover in the next part. I'll show you a simple, realistic daily routine. One that's already helped hundreds of men like you feel stronger, clearer, and more connected to life again. No gimmicks, no overhauls, just a steady rhythm you can build into your mornings. Starting tomorrow, we'll walk through it together, step by step. But before we go, I want to remind you of something. Just because you felt tired, just because things have slowed down, that doesn't mean it's over. Your body is still listening, still responding, still capable of bouncing back. You're not broken. You're just running low on the right support. And now that you know what to change, you're one step closer to feeling like yourself again. So far, we've covered a lot. You now know about the 3 essential nutrients your body may be missing. You understand how they work together. And you've learned why most men never feel the benefits. Because of poor quality, wrong forms, or inconsistent habits. But now comes the part that really matters. Turning that knowledge into action, not with complexity, not with a dozen new habits, but with a simple, grounded routine that fits into real life. You don't need perfection. You need a rhythm that works for your body. And that's exactly what we're building right now. Let's begin. A morning that builds momentum. I want you to meet Frank. He's a retired carpenter from the Midwest, a man who built homes with his bare hands, loyal husband, proud grandfather, and recently, someone who came to me and said, "Doc, I'm not looking to turn back the clock. I just want to feel like myself again." He was tired of feeling foggy, worn down, disconnected from the things he used to love. So we didn't overhaul his entire life. We created a morning routine that matched the kind of man he was. Simple, steady, practical. Here's what it looked like. Every morning, Frank would wake up and drink a full glass of water. Then he'd take his B12 supplement with breakfast. The key was using the active form, methylcobalamin, and pairing it with protein, scrambled eggs, Greek yogurt. Even a simple peanut butter toast worked. That helped kickstart his energy and support his nervous system right from the beginning of the day. Getting back to the sun, after breakfast, Frank would take a short walk outside. Even 10 to 15 minutes was enough, especially in the morning light. That walk did more than get his body moving. It helped stimulate natural vitamin D production, which supports blood flow, circulation, and a healthy hormone balance. If the day was cloudy, or if it was winter, he'd take a D3 supplement with his first meal. But when the sun was out, he let his body soak it in. That was part of the power, not just what he was taking, but how he was living again, fueling the fire with food. At lunch, Frank made a small but important change. He added foods rich in natural vitamin E, a handful of almonds, a spoonful of sunflower seeds, a drizzle of olive oil over his salad. He didn't need to count calories. He just needed the nutrients his body was craving. And when whole foods weren't enough, he used a natural full-spectrum vitamin E supplement, not synthetic, not stripped down, just what his body could actually use. Within a few weeks, Frank felt sharper, stronger, and more engaged in his daily life. He was tossing a baseball with his grandson again, cooking dinner with his wife, feeling a sense of peace that had been missing for years. And he did it all without changing who he was. He simply got back in rhythm with what his body needed, the daily checklist. So, what does this look like in your life? Let me walk you through a simple daily rhythm. You can make it your own. Adjust it, but use it as your guide. Wake up, drink a full glass of water to rehydrate after sleep. Take your B12 supplement with a protein-rich breakfast. Go for a walk outside to get natural sunlight. If there's no sun, take your vitamin D3 with your meal. At lunch or dinner, add vitamin E from Whole Foods or a supplement. Keep your meals simple and nourishing. And most importantly, repeat it each day. That's it. You're not chasing hacks. You're creating a foundation. And over time, that foundation becomes a bridge back to the man you want to be. Why this works so well after 60? You might be wondering, why is this kind of routine so important after 60? Here's the truth. As we age, our bodies become less efficient at absorbing nutrients. Inflammation builds up more easily. Hormone levels shift, and recovery takes longer. But that doesn't mean you're broken. It just means the system needs steady support. Not dramatic, not extreme, just consistent fuel. So it can do what it was built to do. Keep you strong, clear, and alive. When you combine circulation from vitamin D, energy from B12, and protection from vitamin E, you're not just improving one part of your life. You're rebuilding your foundation. And when you do that, everything starts working together again. Your heart, your mind, your drive, your relationships, they all come back into alignment. One final message every man needs to hear. If you've made it this far, there's something I want to say to you, not as a doctor, not as a narrator, but as someone who has sat with thousands of men like you. You are not finished. No matter how tired you feel, no matter how long it's been since you felt truly strong, there's still time, there's still life in you, and you still have a say in how this chapter unfolds. This isn't about becoming your younger self. It's about becoming your full self, grounded, clear-headed, connected. Your energy, your intimacy, your joy, they're not gone. They've just been buried under years of stress, deficiency, and silence. But now you know the truth. Now you know what to do. And that knowledge, that action, that daily rhythm can be the spark that changes everything. What happens next is up to you. You can close this video and forget everything you heard. Or you can do what so many men are now doing. Wake up tomorrow, take that first glass of water, start the rhythm, and let your body do what it was made to do. If this message has helped you, if it's given you something to think about, then don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend, a brother, a father, someone who needs to hear that they're not alone and that it's not too late. Leave a comment below. Tell me what part hit home for you, and let me know what other topics you want us to explore next, because this channel, this community, is not about chasing youth. It's about claiming vitality, and I am honored to be part of that journey with you. Until next time, take care of yourself, and remember, you are still in control.